well, let's get started and see if we can get things sorted out, right? If I should be picking a little bit on Müller Martini, right? I have to sometimes because we want to get started to set the bar. If I think of inkjet and I think of digital print, I must admit that Müller Martini is not the first company I think of. Is that entirely stupid of me to think like that?
No, I think this perception is not completely wrong. Mm-hmm. And why is that? Because Müller Martini traditionally has focused on the high performance wide web widths, which of course are not the major portion of the market. So you will probably more think about the Hunkelers, the Technos of this world.
Could be.
When it comes to the to the largest portion of installed machines. But as we will show within this session, I think we have some very interesting solutions to offer. And of course, it is also our goal to be more prominently and more visible also in the narrow web areas.
The reason why I'm asking you, Adrian, is also because the last session you and I had was about what's next, and that was, of course, in relation to the exhibition space, and we had a wonderful discussion about that. And I think that maybe it's also because Müller Martini, of course, is developing brilliant solutions to a lot of printing companies today, and of course you develop according to where you see the market is developing. In your opinion, is the inkjet space starting to become a major important thing that everybody should be paying attention to?
Absolutely, and it's actually you pretty much take up my introduction slide. So
I'm sorry.
Because that's actually my introduction question. Why is inkjet print relevant for Müller Martini? And I will show some answers to it.
So I'm just going to say, though, Morten is alone in his thought, because having cut my teeth on very high production inkjet, Müller Martini is one of the first ones that come to my mind when I think about finishing for inkjet. So
yeah, so that's good, and I must admit that of course I should always read my up on my things before I meet. But the reason why I ask these questions is because I think that one of the things that we also spoke about earlier, Adrian, is that I think it's a fact that when we communicate to the industry, we often communicate about specs and speeds and whatever we can do. And I think there's a mantra that is changing a little bit more to what we can output. And for example, when we just saw both the presentation from Horizon and also the presentation from Hunkler, it's about variable spine size, it's a variable format, it's a very different kind of substrate.
In the end, what is relevant for our customers? It's what they have on the pallet, what they can ship out, what they can issue invoices for. So in the past, if you had a high performant machine with a high number of cycles per hour, you also had more on the pallet in the evening. Yeah. And nowadays, this has very much changed, because with the variability of the products, of the production, other aspects become much more relevant, such as changeover times. And of course, in digital print, ideally, you don't have any changeover time. So you produce seamlessly different jobs with different formats, different thicknesses, different content, seamlessly one after the other. That's basically the goal of today's equipment, and that's where we need to go. So perfect. For us, our vision is really to implement the smart factory, not to talk of the dark factory in the finishing department. And you know, Morten, I mean, finishing department in many places, many of our customers, is an area where you still have a lot of people working. So it's still
labor intensive.
It's a very labor extensive department, and we need to change this reality. So because the complexity of a digital production cannot be managed without good automation, without machines with intelligence which can cope with all the variability you have in the production.
but you have one problem, and you know what that is?
No, you will tell me.
You build way too good equipment because you never wear them out, right? I mean, so if you buy a machine, it lasts forever.
That's definitely one of the problems, but of course, customers which change into digital processing, which have to cope with the ever smaller job structures, they can't really be competitive with a machine which is purely mechanical and has been built 25 years back. So this is maybe still a brilliant piece of equipment for offset jobs, but if you look at the changeover times, make-ready times of these machines, it doesn't fit to today's market.
Yeah. Before we get started with your presentation, a little bit last minute, at least for me, because I got your name on your colleagues 2 days ago, 3 days ago actually, and yesterday I had the time to look into them, which was like, oh freaking hell, I need to get these gentlemen on board as well. And we have Raphael and we have Ronald here. Can you introduce yourself so we know who you are? Maybe also you, Adrian, for the people that don't know you.
Yes. So. Starting with me, I'm Adrian Meyer. I'm located in the Müller Martini headquarters in Zofingen, and I'm head of the product management team and of our corporate marketing.
A good guy to know.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Raphael Kuhn. I am the product manager for digital and workflow solutions. I'm part of Adrian's team, and I'm very excited today to show you the SigmaLine 3.
Great.
Okay. Then we are an international team. So the third team member is not in Zofingen. He's near Leipzig. Ron, may I hand over to you?
Yeah, my name is Ronald Redman. Thank you, Adrian. I'm also a part of the team from Adrian. I'm the product manager for the Müller Martini softcover solutions with a little part to hardcover, which we will describe later on more in deep.
Fantastic. The way it works is basically that Gene and I, we will turn off our microphone and cameras, and then you just shout if you need help. Otherwise, we will be back for Q&A afterwards. I tell you, you can't turn corners with us because we are listening to what you're saying.
That's good. I hope you don't take lunch while we are talking.
No, of course not. So take it away, Jim.
All right.
I look very much forward to
after.
This.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right then. So headline of our presentation is "Don't forget about finishing." And I come back to what Morten said. Why is Inkjet Print interesting for Müller Martini? First, because it is our strategy. Drupa 2016, we introduced the Finishing 4.0 strategy. So we said all our machines need to be highly automated, need to be capable to cope with a high variability of products. That means products can vary in content, in thickness, and in format. And our machines need to be able to cope with that. In addition, we had the claim of the touchless workflow. That means our machines are able to process complex job structures without any operator intervention. And in order to do that, the machines need to be interconnected, need to exchange relevant production data. So connectivity is the fourth pillar of our Finishing 4.0 strategy. So all these pillars, of course, are mandatory requirements to be able to process digital printed products. Then the second point, why it is relevant, because the market demands suitable solutions. By a coincidence, I found this week a latest survey from What They Think, Print Outlook 2021, and second rank is investment plans for suitable finishing and bindery equipment for digital production. So saying that, we clearly have a business opportunity there. And third, because it's an interesting and future-oriented business field. Looking at the PIRO studies, Future of Global Print to 2024, Inkjet has, when we look at the volume, at the value of print, has very high growth rates. This doesn't look like this if you look at the pure volume in terms of pages, but Inkjet on the printing industry becomes more and more relevant, and therefore it is an important segment, and we need to make sure that we have the proper finishing equipment for it. Pointing out what I said before, on the print volume, digital print accounts only for about 3%. But in 2020, and that was an estimate before COVID, in terms of money, in terms of market value, it was almost 20%. So when you want to differentiate from the market, when you want to create higher margin products, then digital print is the way to go. And of course, also on the technology and supplier side, the market is changing. There is a large choice of performant and high quality inkjet systems available on the market. The quality, also the print quality, of course, the reliability and the productivity of these systems is rising, and total cost of ownership declining. This, of course, more looking at the print side itself. So you maybe have invested in a nice inkjet press. I have highlighted some. There are, of course, many others. And you are now able to convert your white paper into colored paper. And to be a bit provocative, in the end, a press puts ink on white paper. And the question is, what now? And we always say, as we come at the end of the chain, of the process chain, and at the end of the production chain, it is not finished until it is finished. So only if you have one of these wonderful type of final products, be it a magazine, a photo book, a softcover book, a hardcover book, catalog, a softcover magazine, only then you are at the point where you have a sellable product and where you can issue invoices to your customers. And in order to do so, to make a nice final product out of this printed paper web, you need suitable finishing equipment. And you mentioned some of our other suppliers which had sessions today, such as Horizon and Hunkeler. What I just like to point out that here is that we are at Müller Martini is the only supplier providing solutions for all kinds of the print products I just highlighted. This is an overview of our solutions we have when it comes to the production of digital printed products. Basically, we can say that we have either a signature-based or a book block-based production. Signature-based production, you see here that the upstream equipment is mostly OEM equipment, such as unwinders, cross-cutters, pocket folders, which provide signatures which then typically are processed on one of our saddle stitchers into a stitched product. So there we have the possibility to create magazines, stitch magazines with individual content, different variable thickness, and to a certain extent also variable formats. When we come to book block production, we see here our SigmaLine, we come to that one later on, and different other ways of book block productions. So you see here also in that respect, we're pretty open to cooperating with other partners. Book blocks typically are then the input to one of our softcover lines, and at the end we have softcover books as output, or we produce hardcover book blocks which then go onto a casing in line, and in the end we have a hardcover high quality book, all of course printed with digital content. We have first a short look at the production process of digital stitching products. When we look at the digital saddle stitchers, this is namely our Presto 2 Digital or Primera MC Digital. The production process typically looks like this, that we start with an unwinder. The web then is cut into sheets. And what is particular, the sheets can have different lengths. So using the pocket folder, we can create, in the end, 8 or 12 page signatures. This is on one side to improve the performance, and on the other side, it's to reduce the number of blank pages. On the stitcher itself, so that's basically this components here, that's typically OEM equipment. And here we then enter our saddle stitcher, where we fold the signatures lengthwise. We collate all the signatures belonging to the same product on top of each other, feed it to the stitching section where we add the stitches, trim it and stack it. Why to invest in a digital saddle stitcher? You can create higher value products using a digital saddle stitcher, so leading to higher margins. You can differentiate yourself in the market, so you don't produce commodities, what unfortunately magazines often are in these days, but you can produce individual products. And the saddle stitchers offers the advantage that it can also be used as a hybrid product, such as that means it can consume digital printed content, but it can as well be used for offset content by adding standard feeders as we have them on a normal saddle stitcher. The tracking and quality monitoring capabilities of the line allow assured production quality, also if we produce products with individual content. And to summarize, it is mass customization on a very high level. This about digital printed magazines. Then we go over and look at thread sewing. Thread sewing, used for very high quality hardcover books, has seen increasing interest over the past months and years. And also there we have a digital line consuming the paper from roll, or it could also be from a flat pile feeder with digital printed sheets. The basic concept is pretty similar to the digital saddle stitcher. So we have unwind the cross-cutter pocket folder, feed the signature lengthwise, collate them, and feed them to the sewing section. And that's what the Ventura Digital does, basically. After that, the book block is glued, trimmed, and fed to a casing inline, where we add the hardcover, do the joint forming, and finalize the hardcover product. So we have seen now two options, two ways to produce high quality products out of digital printed content. And for the next session, or for the next part of our session, I'm now joined by Raphael, who will guide us a bit through the SigmaLine, SigmaLine 3 to be precise. Raphael, in brief words, what is the SigmaLine and what it is used for? Maybe you move a bit over so we can see you and your even a bit more. So
okay,
not fully in the picture. So now, yeah, exactly.
So basically, generally spoken, the SigmaLine 3 is a system for book block building in a digital environment. We have a claim at our digital solutions which says PDF in, book block out. So that's our overall philosophy when it comes to the SigmaLine 3. If we look a little bit deeper into the process, I can explain how this actually works in reality. So starting on the left-hand side, we basically need information. So we need two sets of information. First, we need the PDF that contains the content for the product we are going to produce. The other one is the JDF information, which is additional information to our job, like the amount, the web width, additional cutoff, etc., etc. With this information, we now go into our Connex workflow system. Our Connex workflow system contains the Imposer module, where I would say all the magic happens. So we take this information, from the PDF and the JDF, and create a whole new PDF for the digital press. So we send this imposed file over to the inkjet press, and then they can now create the actual printed paper. Once the paper is printed, it will be fed into our SigmaLine, and that's where the mechanical part starts. So first of all, we are going to make a fold in length direction, depending on the amount of pages across we have. We are going to sheet or cut the web into separate sheets, and then we will have one additional or two additional folds, so we can get the signatures that are then being transported over to the Sigma collator, collated, stacked on each other, and even pre-glued if necessary. If you go one slide further, you can see the SigmaLine 3, how it would be, or a concept of the SigmaLine 3. We basically have two options if it comes to the upstream unit. We basically can make an inline configuration where the SigmaLine is placed directly after the inkjet press. But we also have the possibility to implement a roll-to-roll application, so meaning that the rolls are printed separately on the digital press, and then we have an unwinder just before the SigmaLine, which feeds then the paper through the line. We also have two possibilities if it comes to pages across. So you can have either one or two former just before the folding unit, where we can fold the web in length direction.
Perfect. Can you highlight some of the key parameters of the SigmaLine?
Yes, I would love to do that. So we are basically able to proceed papers with web widths from 18 to 42 inches. As I explained before, we are able to have a configuration which goes from 4 to 8 across. Our speed we can handle goes up to 1,000 feet per minute, which also matches the requirements by the digital inkjet vendors. We have good experience with very light paper that even goes below 40 GSM. I think it would be exaggerated if I would say we can proceed paper with 33 GSM at 1,000 feet per minute, but we are still able to produce a very good quality at a reasonable speed. And we also have the ability to include an optional auxiliary gluing, so the book blocks won't fall apart after they are proceeded on the SigmaLine.
Great, thanks. SigmaLine has been one of the first fully automated book block solutions in the world. Goes back to 2004. And now we're talking about SigmaLine 3. So what has changed? What are the major changes with this latest SigmaLine generation?
I would say a lot has changed ever since we have started with the SigmaLine. For example, we increased the speed, we increased the amount of automation and even the quality of the book blocks. But there's one thing I would like to point out, and what you can see here is our idea behind the dynamic cutter unit. With the SigmaLine 3, we are now able to produce half signatures, as we call them. Usually we have the sequence of a cut, perforating cut, and then with this regular signatures, we're going through the crossfold and then through the length fold. In this case, we are now able to make a half signature, and that gives us a huge advantage if it comes to empty pages or blank pages, because we can decrease the amount of blank pages per book block at 50%.
That sounds great. So looking at this graphic here, I think that explains a bit further how this works exactly within the machine.
Yes. You can see on the right-hand side how the web paper comes into the Sigma folder. First we go to the sheeter where we cut the signature, as I explained it before. We go through the crossfold where we make the fold in the cross direction, and then it will be transported through the upper transport to the chopper fold, and there the signature is being folded one more time in length direction. Now, if we have a cut sequence, meaning half signatures, we do not go through the crossfold, we bypass it, and then the half signature and the complete signature will be merged on top of each other on the chopper fold. This is only possible thanks to our airfoil technology, which gives us also another big advantage if it comes to production possibilities. We have developed the gathering function for nested signatures at our SigmaLine 3, meaning we are now able to gather signatures in the length air folder. You can see this explained here graphically a little bit. So imagine you have 3 regular signatures coming after each other into the length air folder. They are piled on top of each other, and then they are folded within each other. If you think about thread sewing, for instance, you would be able to produce the perfect signatures for thread sewing afterwards.
Okay, so I understand you have then signatures which a closed spine.
Yes.
So that's what you need for thread sewing or for saddle stitching, and that's what you can produce here on the SigmaLine 3 as a new functionality.
Exactly.
Okay. Thanks a lot. And now you mentioned this famous air sword. It sounds kind of fancy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yes. Here you can see a high-speed video of the length air fold. From the right-hand side, you can see signatures coming in at around about 1,000 feet per minute. They are break down, and now you can see the gathering moment. So 2 signatures are piled on top of each other, and then with an air blast coming from the bar, you can see on top with the 4 dots on it. So that's where the air nozzles are placed. So we have a blast coming down from the top, and then the signatures are being pushed within the fold rollers and afterwards transported to the Sigma collator. This airfoil technology gives us huge advantages if it comes to flexibility, because we can be more flexible when it comes to the moment of creating the air blast. And it is also much easier to handle if it comes to wear and tear, because imagine you have a mechanical sword that creates this fold. You can have huge forces, and this can be you can have a very hard time dejamming the unit. In this case, you just open the hut, take out the paper, close the hut, continue the production. No problem.
Great stuff. So I understand the airfoil technology is one major aspect which makes the SigmaLine even more variable and flexible than it was before. Mm-hmm. In the introduction, Morten talked about the variability, which is a key requirement today. Can you highlight a bit what kind of variability the SigmaLine supports in terms of content, thickness, and format?
Well, I explained in the beginning that we have this Connex imposer, so we are the ones that create or that define the content in the end, pretty much. So the customer can pretty much provide, or the producer can pretty much provide the content he wants to produce. It will be uploaded onto the SigmaLine. So it doesn't matter whether you have 500 times the same product or if you have 500 times an individual product. If you have the same format, that doesn't matter at all. If you now want to change the thickness, that doesn't matter at all either, because, well, if you have one product that has 300 pages and the next one has 500 pages, you just pile more signatures on top of each other in our collator. If you now have a different folding scheme or a different format, let's imagine you start with an A4 product. You maybe have 2 pages across on the web, and your next product will be an A4 product. You maybe have 4 pages across on the web. So in that case, we would change the folding scheme. So the Connex imposer then automatically implements a blank job where we can change the format, fully automated, and then the next job can be started.
Okay, so this is again touchless workflow as we explained it.
Exactly.
Change of format, change of thickness without any need for the operator to interact with the machine.
No, it's all fully handled by Connex.
Perfect. I mean, it's about Inkjet Print. We thought that there are many press vendors. How open are you when it comes to connecting the SigmaLine to an upstream inkjet press?
We have basically the philosophy that we say we will integrate every inkjet press, no matter what. Of course, you can have certain levels of integration. We have one vendor which we have very good experience with. We go even that far that the inkjet press tells us what signature was being produced, good or not. So if you maybe have a bad signature, bad printing quality, so the press sends us a signal and says signature 15 in book block 125 is not good. Please throw it out, and then we can put it into the waste, and from there on we can continue the production.
Great. So I think we have received a lot of interesting information about the SigmaLine. Thanks a lot, Raphael, for that.
You're welcome.
Now, I mean, we have now a bunch of book blocks on the palette, and of course, these book blocks need to be processed into a final product. As we said before, it's not finished before it's finished. And that's a point where we come to Ronald. Ronald, welcome to our session. You will tell us a bit more about what we can do with the book blocks now after they have been produced on the SigmaLine.
Okay.
And talking particularly about 2 systems, our Vareo and Alegro Digital.
Well, thank you, Adrian. Yeah, that's the slide we need. As you describe, or as you can see before, we got the book blocks now, and especially in the right picture, you see an inline connection with an inkjet press and the SigmaLine into our Alegro Digital Line. The left side shows our, I would say, the Swiss Army knife. It's the Vareo PRO line, which is also capable to handle hardcover and softcover product, as well as offset, conventional printed offset products, and of course digital products. In principle, you can say that the left side, the Vareo PRO line, is developed for a book of one environment in an industrial scale, where really every book in the digital world can be individual, thickness-wise, and of course also size-wise. And the Alegro Digital Line is based on our well-known modular and robust Alegro. And this is especially dedicated to short runs and mid runs, also like up to a job run length from 50 up to 100 or 1000 books per job.
Okay, so I would like to go a bit deeper into the Vareo. Can you say a few words about the key features, the most important things on the Vareo?
Yeah, the Vareo was launched in 2015 on the well-known Hankeler Innovation Days. And since that, we of course make a constant and further development with these machines. And one of the key features from the Vareo binder, which makes this machine completely unique compared to all other binders around the world, is the individual driven clamp systems. So the machine is principle-wise a non-continuous running system, means you have a start and running phases, but every clamp has their own servo drive. And the idea behind was to combine the advantages of a non-continuous running system like a longer nipping time with the advantages of a continuous running system where you have higher output, more productivity, especially if we goes down to a book of one environment. So this is really a unique feature and has a lot of advantages, especially regarding output and quality of the books.
Mm-hmm. So if I understand right, you can cope with a high variability of the books in terms of thickness and format, but still you achieve an outstanding quality thanks to the individual timings which are possible thanks to this concept.
Correct. Okay. Exactly.
Great. You mentioned the Vareo, which has been introduced 2015. Now we're talking about the Vareo Pro. So again, there, as with the SigmaLine 3, a new generation is on the market. What are the major changes on the Vareo Pro?
Yeah, the Vareo Pro, more or less, we launched last autumn or autumn last year. And one of the biggest changes compared to the former machine is that we implement with this machine our completely new designed graphical user interface, which is where we are currently in the development to partly this with all our machines, so that we have the same graphical user interface on it. In combination with this new software and GUI, we also put the latest technology regarding control and electric parts inside. And of course, if you have a lot of machines outside, you get a lot of feedback, and especially with the growing demand for individual digital printed products with variance in thickness, we also redesign our spine glue systems, especially the EVA hard melt rotor system, as well as the PRO nozzle system. And the nozzle system could be equipped again with a glue recognition control, where we make a new algorithms inside, which shows the operator much more how the quality looks like, and that he can especially react in that.
Okay, so that also goes with the claim to produce only top quality books, and if the gluing is not perfect, the monitoring system, the control detects it, and you can act accordingly.
Correct. Perfect. That's right.
So to close on the Vareo, maybe the key benefits of the line in short words to summarize.
Yeah, this is especially what I mentioned before, this book of one in an industrial scale. So every book can be different, individual. We have customers, they have an overall job run length in 1.6 books per job. And this is exactly where this line is made for. And so it's fully automatic. We have a barcode-driven workflow. We check every cover, compare with content. And it's, as you can see on the right side, there's an end sheet tipper in line with the Vareo binder, so it's ready for hardcover and softcover. And this I will be describe a little bit more in detail later on.
Thanks a lot. So we go over to the Alegro. I have a closer look at the Alegro Digital, which is kind of the big brother of the Vareo, to call it.
Yes, yeah, big brother is the right name. The Alegro was originally developed for to handle a conventional offset work, and what we made with the Alegro to bring them into the Alegro Digital way is that we put in diverse functions inside where we have to be ready to handle the digital production. As you can see on the right corner, we have a gathering machine. In that case, in combination with a special feeding system. If you remember 2 or 3 slides before, we had an inline connection with our SigmaLine, and this is exactly the entrance for the digital printed and pre-glued book blocks where you can run into the machine. And as you can imagine, this with these feeding devices, which is also available to position between the gatherer and the binder. Here you see the configuration where it's feeding in the hand feed station of the gatherer. It's also easy possible to combine, for example, conventional offset products from the gatherer with digital printed book blocks. And this is what we call the hybrid products, for example.
Perfect, thanks. I think Morten is looking at the timing.
I have to be the badass, you know.
Yeah, someone has to be, I know. So maybe just to summarize with, I think, this overview, which line for which application we already had, I just would like to briefly have a look at the hardcover capabilities. If you allow us 2 more minutes, Morten.
Of course.
Of course, that's great. And for all those who look at the recording, we have a very nice video of our trim robot, InfiniTrim here, but you can look at yourself, so it is impressive. Now, when we're talking about the hardcover functionality, Ron, can you say a few words about that? Because hardcover production, of course, is a very important aspect when for many customers when they want to produce the really high quality books.
Absolutely. So Adrian, maybe you can start this animation. There is these are the animation parts. We also have this in combination with a real film. It's a longer film. So what you can see here, we face in the last months and years also a demand not only for digital one-off production for soft covers and also for hardcover. And the aim was to really have this in the same quality level like in the bigger job runs. So what we do here is we put the book blocks digital printed. It's completely independent what kind of book blocks, pre-glued, single sheets, whatever, inside, measure the thickness and recognize the barcode. And we lift up the book block, transport it into a channel, press the spine, for example, apply a gluing row on both sides, and apply the end sheets, and all these processes are fully automated and also adjustable. For example, depending on the kind of product, a thread sewing book block needs maybe another setup than, for example, a simple milling or cut-off hardcover book block. And after this gluing, as you can see in the next scene, yeah, that's it. We feed the end sheets and press it together. It's available for hard melt and also for PUR. And then you see the lift and turn device, which brings the book block directly into our Vareo binder. And the Vareo binder in that case is especially hardcover version with a hangout adjustment. It's equipped with diverse interchangeable parts like side gluing discs. All of them are made to ensure really a perfect quality. And finally, we have also our trim robot, the InfiniTrim, and he will bring out the final size of the book blocks.
Exactly. And after that, to summarize or to close up the process.
Oh, you stretch it, Adrian.
No, not too much. It's the last one. But I'm
flexible.
We said we have to. It is finished only when it's finished. So we have the hardcover book block now, and then we go to our casing inline. It can be even a BF or a diamond system, capable for square and round spine. And also these systems are capable of processing books down to book of 1.
Exactly.
So now we really made a rush up to the end. But as you see, there is a lot to tell because there are so many different systems.
You know, that is one of the reasons why I love these Learn With Us formats, because, I mean, I think that, you know, if you make a film, I couldn't help think about a few days ago, I saw on the internet, there were on LinkedIn actually, there was a company asking, so should a film be 0 to 30 seconds, 30 to 1 minute, from 1 minute to 5 minutes, or 5 minutes plus? And I can't help think about what you just explained. You could have spent more time explaining, and everything that you guys said was extremely important in the perspective of what you're capable of doing. So I appreciate your time. It was more because this format gives you an hour in total. So I did actually, because the question I had about thinking about Müller Martini as part of the value chain in digital, I was not actually 100% honest with you, because I shared a video with SigmaLine Print and Emotion that we did last year.
Okay, yeah.
And there we,
you know, I mean, if you know SigmaLine Print and Emotion, then you have pretty much most of what we discussed today. You have already there.
Precisely, and that's why I shared the film, because Ulrich is not talking specifically about. He's mentioning Müller Martini, of course, but he's not specific to. But I think that if we should conclude on all the things that we have seen from a technical perspective that you're capable and able to do, the conclusion, in my opinion, must be that this is something that brings a lot of value to your business. And that is what the reason why we are here is, because we want to learn how to improve our productivity, our profitability, effectivity. I mean, all the T words.
Absolutely. I mean, in the end, all these nice, fancy features, they are not made just to please the technicians. They are made to make the business of our customers stronger, to give them a better position on the market. And in the end, it's used to fulfill the claims of flexibility, variability, touchless workflow. So it is needed, but it is not the goal. The goal is to improve the business situation of our customers.
Yeah. We have Jamie Walsh from Solimar. He is asking a tech question.
Okay.
Do all of your systems provide tracking at job level and also at an individual sheet level, including the covers? If so, can these data be exported to a third-party system? I think he's looking. I think that Jamie is looking into development opportunities for Solimar, right?
Could be, yeah. No, basically, this capability is given in all the systems. So cover matching is definitely not an issue in every system, and then it depends on which level of control system integration you have when it comes to the reporting functionality. So the machine control by itself already offers a lot of functionality, but when it comes to export the reports, then you need some modules of the Connect system. But just to give an example, we use digital saddle stitchers, for instance, for individualized exam papers.
Mm-hmm.
So
that needs to be correct.
Their 100% accuracy is absolutely mandatory, and there we export a report from the machine, which gives the customer a clear picture of which exam papers have been produced correctly and which ones had an error. And of course, they don't end up in distribution because they are reprinted and reproduced.
If from your perspective, and I know it will be a biased answer, so that is totally okay. I mean, because if you look at the, I can't help think sometimes that printing companies, they must be in a very kind of stressful situation these years, because one thing is that they have maybe to move from analog production equipment to digital at some point at least, right? But it's also the vendors on the finishing side have diverse solutions on this. I mean, you solve the same kind of problems, you do it a little differently, of course. What kind of, I don't know if you can elevate yourself from it, but what kind of things should a printer really look into in relation to what vendors he should work with?
I mean, on the technology, on the machine side, on the technology side, each system has its pros and cons. I mean, one system is better suited for that application, the other one is better suited for another application. So what I think is, especially if you have looked at the printing industry over the past years, is really to look careful, who is my partner for the next 10, 15 years? Because that's the time frame you buy a new machine for. You're relying on your partner on the supplier side, a bit with service, with part supply, whatsoever. And so we really try to fill our claim. You see also on the presentation, you're a strong partner with and I mean, we have the advantage to be a family-owned company with an owner who has a long-time perspective, who is committed to the graphic arts industry in the long term. So we need to adapt, of course, to the changes in the market. That's clear. But there are no ideas that will suddenly jump out of the market, and our customers are left alone without a partner on their side.
I can't help think about, because another paradigm shift I see on the printing press side is that instead of seeing it as a acquisition cost, it's seen as a partnership, where because a huge press obviously costs a lot of money, and as it's a very technology driven in its print heads and these kind of things, you need to have a partner that keeps you updated, that keeps you so the relationship between printers and press vendors changes a little bit in these years. Do you also, if you look at from the software side, you go from having licenses to having subscriptions, right? Is that also a tendency that you see from the binding vendor side?
Of course, that's also a tendency. I mean, when it comes to the purchase or to the initial cost of the equipment, of course, a print vendor has a bit different situation, because he can link it to the sale of consumables, so he can level it out.
That's one of the big differences. Definitely.
So that's a bit a different initial situation, but of course we are always confronted with the request from our customers to lower the initial costs, and of course and to expand it over the lifetime of the machine.
And that was the last word of a wonderful session with Raphael, Ronald, and Adrian from Müller Martini from Switzerland and Germany. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a wonderful weekend.
It was a pleasure.
It was definitely a pleasure to listen in.
Looking forward to the next Inkish session.
Okay, that sounds great. That was a great commitment. Thank you, guys, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Bye.